not my job, so I don't need to know. So that's okay. Okay, so just so you know, I love interactive Zoom time. I know that Zoom classes can get very dry and very dull if you're just sitting there staring at your screen and somebody's talking the whole time. So if you have questions as we're going through, you need clarification on something, or your friend who knew a judge over in this place said that about this, and you want to confirm, please just go ahead and use your raise the hand thing, because once I share my screen, I'm not going to be able to see so many of you as I can right now. So yeah, just raise your hand, and I love it when we ask clarifying questions, because if you're wondering, chances are there are others in the room who are wondering as well. I suppose I should introduce myself. I'm making an assumption that everybody knows who I am. Quite a big head. My name is Lisa Greenough. I have been singing in Region 26 for 28 years of my 34 years in the organization. I did start when I was 3. If you want to math that, you go ahead. I have been a choreographer through the years. I became an assistant director because nobody else would in my chorus at the time. And then my mother told me that she was making her own replacement in my training. She was our chorus director for many years, and suggested that I pursue directing, which I have. I've been directing Gateway Chorus for a little over 11 years now. But my true desire in the organization since I was 9 years old was to become a show judge. So yes, it's a funny story. I met Betty Clipman when I was 9 years old. She was a new director of my mom's chorus, and I had never met anyone so fantastic. And I asked her if I could be her when I grew up. And she says, well, off you go. Absolutely, go ahead. So anyways, that was my inspiration to stay in the organization and become a judge. So I did. So I've been a show judge for several years now. And now I am a visual communication judge, as the category has just had a big overhaul, including its name. So I'm going to share my screen and we're going to get going. All right. Fingers crossed this is going to work. Share sound, because we will have sound. I'm gonna come back down to this screen so I can see just a few more folks. Awesome. All right. I'm gonna try and pop that there. Can everybody see that on their screens? Just give me one of these. Yeah, excellent. Fantastic. All right. So visual communication, my favorite category. The category formerly known as showmanship. So here's what I'm going to do my best to cover for you guys today. We're going to talk about why the change was made, what's new in the category, the goal of the category, because sometimes that's not quite understood by all of our competitors. I'm going to do a breakdown of the elements, specifically the new ones. There are some new elements in the category that are super awesome, but also need some explanation. So we're going to cover those, and then we'll do a little summary, Q&A. Again, if any questions come up while we're going through this, please just raise your hand and I will get to you as soon as you pop on my screen. So first off, why the change? Short answer really is evolution. Okay. Our organization has been evolving for years. All of the years that our organization has been around, it's been changing. How we've adjudicated our contests have changed through the years, how we've held our contests. Of course, Marcia was spearheaded the open division addition to our contests for our competitors. So as we've developed through the years, the categories have developed with us. Also, just so you know, when we make these kind of changes, I say we, like I was involved. I wasn't really, but when the powers that be, our judge specialists, our judge moderators, take a look at these changes, they don't take them lightly. They really spend a lot of time. We had a fantastic task force, complete with actually a judge outside of the category, I think mostly to wrangle in a bunch of show judges that were on a project together, but you didn't hear that from me. But they all got together and took into consideration what we really want to adjudicate and encourage and educate our performers in this specific category to move towards. So they did a big overhaul of the category, and you're going to see that when we go through the elements. So these changes took effect actually in October of 2021, despite the fact that none of us were doing any competing at that time. This category did come into effect at that time. So if you are sending in a video submission for this year's regional competition, as well as, of course, all the contests moving forward when we go to Phoenix and that, this will be the category that you're adjudicated in. Instead of show, it will be visual communication. So here's what's new in the category. Obviously, we all have noticed that there's been a name change. Okay, so the name change came about because it's a better description or a descriptor of what this category encompasses. There was some, because we do have competitors from overseas, second language is English and whatnot, showmanship sometimes meant something different to different people and different competitors. Oftentimes, the word showmanship conjures up the thoughts of big fat jazz hands and all this kind of hoopla. And of course, the category is so much more involved than just big fat jazz hands and red lipstick. So the team that put this together wanted to make sure that the category name better described what this category is adjudicating and looking for. Also new is the category weighting. So you might recall when we were still adjudicating showmanship that the category had a 70-30 split. So up at the top of the score sheet, you would see the performance side, which was worth 70 of the 100 points available. And that was what you did that day on stage. And then the other top portion was preparation, and that was worth 30 of the points, 30 of the 100 points that were available. And that was what you did before you got to contest, your choreography plan, your costuming, makeup, grooming, creativity, entrance, break, exit, the plans you made surrounding those sort of things. So that used to be a 70-30 split. Well, now the category is all worth 100 points. There's no delineator between what you did before you got to the stage and what you did on this stage. It's all going to be adjudicated and scored more holistically as one entity versus what you did today and what you did before you came. The other thing that we've seen change is the language in the JCDB. So that's the judge descriptor handbook that we have. This explains all you need to know about what goes on in each of the categories and how they're adjudicated. The team did a really, really fine job of looking at the language and some aspects of culture that needed to be addressed in the language that we used previously for the showmanship category. And it's also shifted to a much more positive and educational based description of the category. Because at the end of the day, our job in the pit, yes, we adjudicate the performance. Yes, we give it a score. And yes, that creates an ordinal and an outcome for the competition. But our strongest desire in the pit is to help educate our competitors, both chorus and quartet, open division, finals packages, all of those sort of things. So the language shift in the JCDB specific to the visual communication category, excuse me, has really encompassed the educational base of what it is that we do, become much more culturally neutral and aware of gender words and wordings. And then last but not least, the judging criteria elements in the category have changed. Some that you are used to seeing, you'll notice when we get to the score sheet, have disappeared or moved into another area. They're no longer on the score sheet. And they've added some new elements that, well, personally, I'm super jazzed about. It's great that these elements are now appearing on the sheets and we can talk about them and their impact on our performances. All right. Any questions? Let me know. I'm going to keep going. So I want to talk to you about the goal of the category. Oftentimes the goal of what was formerly known as showmanship, now visual communication, has been slightly misconstrued. Oftentimes you hear comments or responses regarding the category about costume, about makeup or fingernails, or even possibly choreography. You know, we messed up our choreos, so we got scored down, or things like that. The visual communication judge watches and listens to a performance for the degree of communication established with the audience, right? We sit in that zone between the performer on stage and the audience behind us. So sometimes we forget that we're part of the audience too, as the adjudicator, and we can feel that energy and that communication that goes on between the competitor up on the stage and the audience behind us. And so that comes into play often. And in the showmanship category, there wasn't always a spot to talk about that and its impact on the performance. So that's really what we're doing. We scan through all of the elements of the category, taking into consideration the audience connection and then all of the other elements. I love using this specific picture as an example for the goal of the category. You know, in here we can see body alignment, right? I mean, if you look at those ladies on the screen there, they've got fantastic body alignment for wonderful singing. They've done a really fine job in terms of their costuming, their unity in their costuming, which isn't a requirement, but for this group, that's what they chose to do, and they did it well. You know, hairstyles, makeup, all of those sort of things, you know, they've really created a nice unit look here. Excuse me. And I also like to kind of peek through. If you look behind the gals that are out front in their gold sequins hot pants, Man, I want to wear gold sequence hot pants. You'll notice that the chorus behind them actually is in a different costume, and yet it doesn't impact the unity of the performance and the visual communication of the performance. So I just think that this is such a great, and also, I mean, look at the character. Look at the unity in the character. I don't know what they're singing about right there, but I sure want to. I want to be part of that performance. There's great audience connection, even in a still, for this picture. So now we're really digging in here. All right, this is the left-hand side of your screen is the elements of the category when the category was still showmanship. And over on the right-hand side of your screen, these are the elements that are now in visual communication. So I talked earlier about the 70-30 split. You'll see that on the screen here, performance up top, preparation down below. And you'll notice that I've got arrows and whatnot to where things have moved or been renamed. So vocal skills, obviously, same between the two. This is the first thing that's adjudicated even by your visual communication judge. Some folks don't quite understand that we are listening as well as watching the performance. So vocal skills, always number one. Energy, we couldn't have visual communication or showmanship without energy. So obviously that's still an element of the category. Characterization, again, big part of our performances. So that's stayed same. Physical expression as well. That has gone over to the new category as well. I actually have just noticed that over here in my performance list, I am missing unity, but if it was there, it would also appear over here in the new elements. That was missing, but that has come across as well to the new category. So here we get into the ones that have changed. So poise and command has now changed all the way over here to stage presence. Poise and command, the change came because poise and command often has a more stiff kind of feeling to it, whereas stage presence, that's a little more clearly defined, I think, for our performers. Audience rapport has changed in the new category to audience connection. This is a big deal. On the previous sheet and in the previous category, I think audience rapport kind of got sometimes a little passed over, but that audience rapport, that audience connection is a massive part of our performances. So changing the name to audience connection, I think gives it the value and the importance that it needed to have in the category. Whereas audience rapport, I don't think demanded as much attention from our competitors and the importance of it. Posture has also changed, and it's over here now in body alignment. Again, not unlike poise and command, posture has a very stiff feel to it, doesn't it? I can see you on the screens. I said the word posture and I saw a collective this of people sitting up into their screens, right? The second we hear that word, we tighten up and we stiffen up, and shoulders get raised and rib cages get expanded and knees get taut. And that's not a great singing posture. That's not a great alignment for your for the mechanics of what we do with our singing and performing. So body alignment better captured what we're hoping for, what we're looking for. It's certainly more in line, I think, if I may be so bold. I know there's sound judges in the room, and I would never assume to speak for them, but I think body alignment is more in tune with what they're hoping is happening physically with the singer, so that the sound is doing all the things that we're hoping for it to do. And I think it gives the singer, the performer, a bit of leeway in terms of their comfort. They're not going to be quite as stiff. All right, this next one is a big one. You'll notice there's lots of pink on this page, and all the things that are pink on this page have moved into one of the new elements, which is stagecraft. So a bulk of that preparation portion that used to be on the right-hand side of your showmanship sheet, much of that has moved into stagecraft. So entrance, break, and exit, which had appeared in both areas, performance and preparation. Choreography, which also appeared in both. Your pitch pipe technique, costume, makeup, grooming, all of those have shifted into stagecraft. The reason for doing this, there's a few different reasons for this, and I think you know, I wish I could say that I was part of the team that did this, because I think this is really brilliant. As judges, we are trained to use that top portion of our score sheet. We call it the dashboard. We are trained to use that portion of our score sheet as much as possible. It's a fantastic way for either our chorus directors or chorus musical leaders, performance leaders, or our quartets to get kind of a quick and dirty synopsis of what is happening from our perspective. So one of the first things you're learning how to do when you're judging is get as many of those elements, a comment on each of those, as often as you can. So if you consider, for a show judge, the top of our dashboard included costume, makeup, grooming. We are trained, comment, give them everything you can up here in the sheet. And then of course you write the body of your sheet afterwards. So as we're going through that and wanting to get as much information to our competitor as we can, I feel, and most judges I think feel, obligated to write. I need to put something in there. I need to make sure that all of these elements that make up this category have something to say. So I'm sure there are many of you on this screen today that probably got a comment beside your costume that said red top, black pants. And you're reading your score sheets and you're like, yes, that is what we wore. Thank you. Right? Because we are, right? Write it down. This is, you need to let them know, right? I saw your red shirt and your black pants. Done. Next one. Right? And so oftentimes it became challenging for our competitors to move beyond that which was written on the right hand side of their dashboard. Because any comment about makeup, grooming, costume, all of those sort of things, it started to pull the focus of the category. A lot of folks were focused on the comments on the prep side versus the comments on the balance of the dashboard. This is why I feel that this is brilliant, because now with all of these elements moving into stagecraft, I can comment on stagecraft, but it doesn't have to be about your costume. It doesn't have to be about your makeup. It doesn't have to be about those things. I can talk about, if your costume is positively impacting your overall performance, heck yeah, I'm going to write that on there. But I'm not obligated to write about your costume. Does that make sense? It allows us to shift the focus off of some of the things that our competitors are feeling maybe not so good about. So I think this is great. I love that the pitch pipe technique is in there. You know what? Those pitch pipe blowers do not get the due that they deserve. So I love having a chance to write something about the job that they're doing, because we lose sight of how important they are to us, until you drop a pitch pipe, then you know how important they are. But the choreography, now, before it was in the performance side, the choreography, I could comment on how the choreography was executed that day. And in the preparation side, I could comment on the choreography plan itself. Now, with them both in stagecraft, I don't have to delineate between the two. I can just, if I need to share something regarding choreography, I can just write it there beside stagecraft, and it all falls into that area. Creativity has made it across the board. It was over here in preparation before. It's now over here as well in the new elements. And then this one that's yellow. This is the one that I'm so jazzed about, you guys. This musicality. We're going to dive into this pretty deep, because this element, I think, is probably the most impactful on our performances for our audiences, and probably one of the hardest to kind of figure out what it is. How do we teach it to our singers? How do we embody it ourselves as performers? But I think when we dig into it, you're going to have a good idea of what this is. Any questions before I go to the next slide on any of this that we covered? Going once, going twice. All right, moving on. So here's the new score sheet. So you'll notice, as I said before, we had 2 columns in our dashboard previously at the top of the sheet. Now we just have the one. Everything's listed down here. All of those elements that we just talked about. Previously, this director portion right here, visual communication is the only category that can directly speak to the director on their sheet. It used to be down here near the bottom. It's moved up here in this space right here. And the quartet D cup used to be down here as well on the old sheet, and they've moved it up here. So this gives the visual communication judge the opportunity to speak directly to a competitor. If they want to, they can circle this or, comment there directly. And then, of course, the body of the sheet has gotten much larger. Having just judged my first contest last weekend with this new category and this new sheet, that's a lot more lines than we used to have to fill. So, but it's great. It's great to have all that space. I'm sure Marcy has probably seen some of my sheets through the years, but I am the judge that will write. I'll be writing, and I'll get right down here to the bottom of my sheet, and I won't be done. So I'll start writing here, and then I'll turn my sheet sideways, and I'll keep writing up the side and looping back around, because I want to get everything I can to a competitor that I can, when they're putting themselves out there. So many more lines you can expect, many more comments from your visual communication judges moving forward, because we have so much space to play with now. All right. The other thing that is new is our performance level guidelines. So these are here as well. These have been updated. And any directors that are on this Zoom that you're trying to figure out, how can I assist my singers in moving forward in this category? I implore you, pull these and just start looking at where you're at and where you need to go or where you want to go with your performers. There's been an addition with these specific guidelines that we haven't had previously, where they have added a focus area for each of the levels. This is fantastic. As you're moving through, you can see from the adjudicator's point of view, this is really the stuff that we are looking for in these levels as you move through them. So you'll notice that unity needs to start appearing right at C+, right? Like we're starting to see that unity come together. The chorus or quartet is working together more and more as a unit. And then, of course, as we move, Jennifer, I see your hand. I'll get to you in 1 second. As we're moving through those B levels, right now we're getting into words like achievement and consistency and mastery. So these are a fantastic guideline for you to use to really get a handle on the category. Jennifer, please unmute and ask your question.
I just wondered, in today's day and age where we have, computers, why can't you be looking at your performers in the judging pit and typing in your comments while you're still looking at them, as opposed to having to handwrite and then you look up at them and you kind of maybe miss a few things or whatever? I'm just wondering, is that something that they're leaning towards, more of electronic entry?
We have looked at it. I mean, certainly, Marcia, if you want to comment on that at all, we've done some work on that. They have developed sheets that we can type on, and we did some practice with that. I believe this past summer, or maybe this summer before. I can't quite recall when it was. I know personally, I found it very difficult to type and excuse me, and to watch the competitor. I myself personally, I watch almost the entire performance and keep a scratch pad beside myself, beside where my score sheet is. And I'm writing down notes without watching. Like my scratch pad's a disaster area, because as the competitor is performing, I'm making notes without looking at what I'm writing while the competitor is doing what they're doing. And then once things are done, I look at those notes and then I start writing the bulk of my sheet. Oftentimes the green visual communication sheet is the last one to be flipped, because we do watch the performances. Many of us watch the bulk of the performance. But I do know that they're developing it. The first time I tried it, I was a disaster area. So I went back to handwriting because I did find it very challenging to type and to watch. But Marcia, do you have anything to add on that?
I think the only thing I would add is that we keep studying it. It comes up almost every year. I'll say every 2 years, because it takes a year to look at it. But the actual demands in the pit, like in a regional, and those of you who organize regional contests will understand this, the technical requirements in a pit to have 5 computers, because you have a panel secretary printing all the stuff that has to take place, or they can do it on little what do you call thumb
drives.
Yeah, but technically we keep coming up against certain things like that, but we keep looking at it because it does have, it's interesting and it's exciting to think about that. And there are some things that would be better, but it's technically there's a lot of areas to cover, so we keep looking. Yeah.
Thanks for that. All right, I'm gonna keep going. So I'm going to kind of get into the heart of the elements here now of the category. I'm obviously not going to go over the ones that have crossed over from showmanship because I think we've got a pretty good handle on those, but I want to make sure that we cover the new ones. So I love this graphic, equal parts brains and heart. I think we've probably all seen the performance where there was lots of heart, but maybe not so much brains. And we've seen the performances where there was lots of brains, but maybe not so much heart. And we have absolute reactions and connections or lack thereof to those performances. So the way I like to look at this category is that you have to bring both parts to the table, and the elements can be easily split into both of those areas. Vocal skills, physical expression, body alignment, the unity aspects, and stagecraft. That's a lot of brain area, right? Those are lots of areas where there's planning, there's skill work, there's practice, there's, all of those sort of things. And so I like to think of those as the brain part of the category, the hardware, if you will. And then we have the heart side of the category, which is our new element, musicality, energy, characterization, your stage presence, how you handle yourself on the stage, allowing yourself to let your audience in or not. Your creativity, that's got a lot of heart kind of emotion and soul into it. And then unity in this one as well, because unity in character, unity in energy, musicality, stage presence, those are part of what we do, is that unity. And then those two bits together, all the brains and all the heart kind of put together, creates the audience connection. Remember, audience connection is the new element that used to be audience rapport that we've now made more important by creating audience connection as one of our elements. So I'm going to dig into these brain elements just a bit. I'm going to skip really quickly over some of them because you're familiar with them. Vocal skills, right? Lots of showmanship and or visual communication jokes out there for my breed of judge that, did you even know they were singing? Right? Because we're just looking for big fat jazz hands in sequence and unified choreo. Oh, no, we're not. Your visual communication judge is listening to the vocal skills as well. This is the first thing. This is the first element that shows up on your dashboard. So that should show you the importance of it. Okay, we listen as well because the musical product has massive impact on your audience connection. Okay, if your singing skills are not that unified or still in a developmental stage, that's going to impact your audience connection. If the audience is at all nervous for the performer, that's going to impact. So those are your vocal skills. So you're almost always going to have a comment from your visual communication judge about your vocal skills and how they're impacting your audience connection and your overall performance. Physical expression. This is how we naturally move our bodies while we're singing. Oftentimes, our singers think that they're just supposed to move because we were told we have to move, and physical expression is an element in the category. So everybody make sure they move. And so you get some, there's the one gal on the front row with the windmill hand who's going to do it for everybody sort of thing. And our bodies move in these awkward ways. We're really wanting to use our physical expression to further the message of the song or further the character. It's not movement for movement's sake. It's to assist in that overall performance. Body alignment, touched on that already. That's the replacement for posture. Posture's too stiff. Body alignment is ensuring that the way you are standing is doing its best job for you for your vocal product. Also, sometimes body alignment could impact the look of your costume, right? You come out in this fantastic costume and then you hunched right over and it's all wrinkly and funny looking. It's impacting your audience connection, right? So that's the sort of thing that we look at for body alignment. And then, of course, unity. We all know about the unity game in this organization. It's part of what we do. How did I get muted? How long have I been muted?
Just now.
Oh, good.
I was letting somebody into the meeting and you're right below where you let someone into the meeting. So if you click twice by mistake, away goes Lisa's voice.
That's okay. That's okay. Thank you. I
Sorry.
appreciate that. All right. Well, that was great. I don't think you missed anything super impactful there. So now we're going to dive into our new element of stagecraft. So much of it, you know already, right? We saw how many things from the showmanship category moved over into stagecraft. These are all the tools that we can use. So stagecraft has really become an umbrella kind of statement, an umbrella word for all of the tools that you can use during your performances. So you can see what all lands in that stagecraft, that umbrella word. We've got choreography, lighting when available. At our regional events, we don't have lighting available. It's a mandate that it be even Steven for everybody in terms of lighting. So all of the regional competitions are lit the same way. Your visual communication judge is actually trained in how to talk to the lighting guys when we go to the competitions and set the lights with the lighting guys to ensure that it doesn't matter if your contest is in Surrey, BC, or in Sydney, Australia, or in Daytona, Florida, you will have the same lighting as best we can provide at the venues. Okay, but at the international level, on the finals days, they have lighting options. So is their plan with lighting assisting, positively impacting, negatively impacting their overall performance? And again, that audience connection. Props falls into this one. Entrance, break, and exit, right? Sometimes we forget that our performance starts for the visual communication judge as soon as you come out. So as soon as you're walking out on that stage, or the curtain opens and the director is greeting the audience and the chorus is behind her, that performance has already begun. So entrance, break, and exit. You know, if you don't start smiling until you start singing, well, there's impact, right? There's an impact on your audience connection. What you do in between your two songs, that's the break. And then also how you accept your applause from the audience when you're all finished, that's your exit. Costume, again, we mentioned that I had mentioned this before, that falls into stagecraft now. Makeup and grooming, that again falls into stagecraft. The pitch pipe technique, staging and stage decoration. So more and more we're seeing, especially in our open division packages, that choruses are decorating the stage. They are attaching fantastic things to risers and creating entire scenes, or just not necessarily using staging, or stage decoration, but they're coming down off the risers and staging more in front of the risers during open division packages. And in stagecraft is where we can comment on how that impacts the overall performance. And then of course, hairstyles are in there if it's something that comes up. Any questions about what's moved into stagecraft. If anybody has a burning question about this little area that I am circling right now, now is a good time to ask it. Because
Lisa, I
I
don't know if
know
this
that you
is,
got a score sheet once that your show judge said, fill in the blank, and you want to know more about it. Yes, Sandy.
I don't know if this is the right time to bring this up, Lisa, but the directors this morning in our Zoom were asking about whether or not it's legal to have your camera pan in on your performers. Lisa, did you want to address that now? Because I know it's sort of stagecraft, but we're talking more about the video element.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. So we did have one competitor last week in Region 21 who did do some panning during their performance. So they zoomed in during the ballad of their performance. The person who was doing their video work zoomed in closer to the chorus and did more of a closer shot moving across the chorus during the ballad, and then came back out for the ending. This is not a requirement for your video. The instructions that we received from International with regards to it said, you can prop that thing up on a tripod, press record, and just get the whole chorus for the whole set, or the whole quartet for the whole set. You don't have to pan. It's not a requirement. If you choose to, and it doesn't negatively impact the ability of the judges to adjudicate your performance, I can't see it being a problem. It wasn't a problem with the performance that we had last weekend, but it's not a requirement. Your videos do not have to be fancy Nancy. Okay, they can literally be done on your cell phone, in your rehearsal hall, you know, just up on a tripod. We just want to see y'all singing. We just want you getting all singing again. Allison.
Hi.
Hi.
Regarding costumes and things,
Yep.
I know that there's been a lot of debate online. I've seen it in the Facebook groups and things about costumes that are not exactly the same for every single member in a quartet, say. So, you know, maybe they have the same color palette or whatever, but each person is wearing something slightly different. And some people think that that impacts negatively on your score in this category and things like that. So I was wondering if you could speak to that a little bit.
Yeah, no, I appreciate the question. I'm actually going to hop to a slide here so that I can show you. Hopefully that'll come up on your screens. Can you all see that one? This is exactly what Allison is asking about. So here we have, guys, this is an exceptional example of a unit look with an individualized approach. And that's what we call it. Well, that's what I call it. It's a unit look. So you can see on these costumes, all right? Now, there is unity across the front row in terms of the skirt length. But that whole front row, as well as the balance of the chorus behind them, are all wearing different outfits. I actually got to be in the pit for this one, so I was very excited when I found this picture when I was preparing this class, because this is a fantastic example. Now, this was not done willy-nilly, and I think that that's sometimes the trouble that ends up happening for some of our groups, is that we say, okay, so we're all gonna wear red and like purple and peach as an accent color. So everybody go get something. And then everybody goes and gets something, and then they show up to the performance and they don't understand why it's such a scattered look. Because in this example, you can see each dress has an element of a solid black fabric. I can't remember if they were satin or if they were a taffeta. It really doesn't matter to me, but they had a unified fabric, all accented with lace in some way or another. They're all wearing the same colored jewelry, which ties them into a unit look. They have hairstyles that suit the dresses that they're wearing. right? Nobody just got out of bed and threw their hair in a pony that day. They ensured that the unit look that they were going for included their hairstyles. And then this group in particular, I don't know if they have a professional makeup artist that they either know or is in their group, but this particular group did a very exceptional job of a very natural look, but still absolutely done for stage. So Allison, that kind of encompasses that what we're shooting for. I'm not sure that I know any visual communication judges that have issue with non-matching costumes or non-matching outfits. What
Yeah,
ends
because
up coming into play is the disunity in the look. So if you want to wear all different costumes, that's not a problem, but ensure that they are tied together in a unit approach, individualized approach to a unit look.
that makes sense. I know that for many quartets, but mine is an example of them. We have people with a wide range of body sizes. And
Absolutely.
so trying to find a costume or a look that looks good on both our smallest member and our largest member is very difficult. When you have like somebody who is limited to what's available in plus size stores. And then what's available in plus size stores isn't necessarily available in the smaller sizes either. So you end up kind of being forced into getting something that's more individual. And I guess for me personally, I worry that we might get unfairly penalized for something like that.
Yeah. So while the old category had the 30 points that were the header above where that element came into, I don't know. I certainly know in the years that I've been judging, I have never penalized anyone with regards to costume. And I think that that's a misunderstanding in our organization, that if the show judge at the time, or now visual communication judge, were to comment about the costume, the competitor assumes that their score was lower as a result of that comment. And I would say 9.75 times out of 10, that comment was for education. It did not impact the number that judge selected for your performance. Comments next to the costume would generally be for educational purposes versus impacting your score in any way. I mean, unless it was really, I'm sure there's some kind of something that we could come up with that would impact the score negatively, but I've never seen it. I've never seen it. And in all the show judges that I've spoken with and through the years, I've never heard any of them say that they chose a lower score as a result of a costume.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome. And also, Allison, if you want some help putting together a look for your quartet, just let me know, because I've got lots of different websites that I direct folks to, because I work with groups that have variations in sizes and quartets, and it can be hard to dress them. So you just feel free to send me a Facebook message or an email or anything like that, and we'll connect on that. Shelley, you have a question.
I feel a little late in the game now because my question went back to talking about the video submission that Sandy was
no
talking
problem.
about. Although I'm glad Allison brought up the stuff about costuming, because I think that's really important for our members and for people to be aware of. So that was great. So just to go back, so I think I saw that video that you were talking about with the submission last with Region 21 about the panning and stuff. Is there really any return on investment in actually doing something like that? Because when I saw that video, I found that although it was nice, the technology behind it was a bit like it was somebody who was doing it probably on an iPhone. So it was a bit jerky. And so that took me out of the performance as a person watching. And maybe as an adjudicator, you're trained not to let those little things pull you out of the performance. So I guess my point is, is it really like, is the bang for the buck if you can't do it professionally with your Zoom? Is it worth it to do it in your performance?
Yeah, I don't know that it is. I agree that it was a little jerky, and it could certainly pull the viewer out of it. For me personally, when I was adjudicating that performance, I appreciated them panning in there, even though the tech maybe wasn't great,
Okay.
because that specific chorus was masked.
Yes.
So
So it got you a little closer to their facial expression.
I could see their faces and I could
Okay.
see their eyes and their energy. So
That
for
makes
me,
sense.
that, yeah. So it's kind of, I don't know, 6 of one, half a dozen, you know?
Okay. Okay.
Yeah,
That's great. Thanks.
for sure. Okay, so I've got a couple other pictures here of stagecraft being used well, and then we'll move on. So here's our own little Rhythm of the Rockies, right? Great use of this prop. If you haven't seen this performance, you need to go back and find this performance. This was their open division performance that won them the world. This hat traveled through that whole chorus, through that whole set. And it was exceptionally well done. Couple that with a wonderful unified look in terms of their costuming and their choreography, I recall, was executed beautifully. Their characterization was done really well, but this prop was great. Here's some well-crafted and executed choreography and character on this cute little group from a few years ago. Next. The next one I had was, of course, the one that we just looked at, that individual approach with a unified look as the outcome. Moving on. Here's another example. Wow, these guys are a machine, you know? Like, I mean, I think on one of their swan songs, they actually showed us the factory where they grow their members. Oh, it was so charming. But here we have props. We have unity in so many things. This specifically, this chorus has aced unity in terms of the visual presentation that they put forward every time they sing. Every costume, every hairstyle, the makeup, all of those things. And then, of course, you put on top of that exceptional vocal skills, you put on top of that exceptional performance skills. You know, they really do an exceptional job. I've said exceptional too many times. Oh, and who's this group? Look at these guys. Now, they used every element of stagecraft to put this on stage. And didn't it have an impact on us, right? The second they came out on that stage, they were building that set. And you had us at hello. As soon as that set started coming out and you started bringing out all of those giant props, right? And then look at the makeup. I mean, look at Shelley. That's so fantastic. I just love it. And the character, right? The character alone. If we take a moment to draw our focus off of the Grinch, if you can pull yourself away, which is very hard to do because she's so compelling. But if you look at the faces of the chorus behind that Grinch out front, you will notice that every single one of them are sharing the same character with us. There's unity in that performance that was just outstanding. And then, of course, you know, spoiler alert, if you haven't watched the Grinch package yet, A, where have you been? B, this also included a costume change, right? Those vest-like looking tunics that they're wearing all turned into a unified costume for the big ending, which was just fantastic. So these elements of stagecraft were just so well done. So well done. Any questions about stagecraft before I move on to the other new elements? Good. Okay. So you'll remember this.
Lisa, sorry. I see
yeah.
Margaret Sampson has her hand up.
Oh, okay. Sorry. I can only see it if it's, yes, Margaret, how can I help you?
Thanks, Sandy. Could you say something about shoes? It's part of the costume. back in the day, we used to all have to wear exactly the same shoe. Now
Mhm.
that's been changing, but I noticed in that chorus that you showed, the front row all has the same shoe, which is pretty necessary for front row. The rest of the chorus, it looks like they've got different shoes. Is there anything you want to say about shoe selection?
Sure. Your singers need to be comfortable.
Yeah.
Bottom line. Okay. The sake of a look, for like selecting a shoe for the sake of a look is the wrong reason to choose a shoe. If you're either the costume person in your chorus, or you're their director, or you have some impact on whatever shoes your group is going to be wearing, comfort is what you want them to do. The shoes can so impact body alignment as well. It's not just how the shoes look on stage or how it makes your singer's feet feel. It also has impact on their body alignment. We talked about the importance of that body alignment to keep our musical instrument doing what it needs to be doing. And if your singers are focused on their feet hurting, they're not focused on putting forward their best performance. I'll tell you personally, from my chorus, my front row does all wear matching shoes, but they're ballet slippers with a heel that are comfortable. And then the riser club in my chorus gets to wear whatever shoe they want to, as long as our costume person has taken a look to make sure that it's the right shade of black, right? Because we wear black pants, so we want them to have black shoes, and sometimes black can be 5 different colors. So they get their shoes checked to ensure the color, but not the style. I've had ladies on the risers wearing Crocs because that's what they're comfortable in. And I would rather them focused on smart singing choices than worrying about their feet.
Wow, Crocs.
I know. I mean, it's not my cup of tea. You'll never catch me dead in one, but they are happy in them and it makes their feet feel good. And if that makes them smile more and sing better, I'll take it.
Thanks.
You're welcome.
Okay.
Okay, so I want to dive into the heart side of this category now. This is where my new exciting musicality is coming into play. It's so awesome, guys. I think you're really going to dig it. So we'll go through the heart side of this category. So energy, we already know about that, right? We've talked about that for years. Energy is a big, it's the life force of this category, really, guys. And honestly, the more time I spend listening to the other category judges talk about their categories, I think energy is oftentimes the life force of everything that we do. I hear it from expression judges in terms of lyric delivery. I hear it from sound judges in terms of, how we're producing the sound and how the chords are moving and all of those sort of things, right? I'm pretty sure a music judge said something about it too, but I'm really not good in that category. So I don't know how to share. No, I'm kidding. How the song flows and has energy, right? So it really is important. Characterization, we've talked about that before. We know what we need to do. That's not a new element. Creativity, again, I think we need to start loosening up some of our creativity out there. I think that, I spend more and more time with Region 26 choruses and quartets, and I see you behind closed doors, and I know how funny you are. I know how creative you can be. And then, we sometimes think that we're supposed to sing this way, or we're supposed to sing that song and do this choreo or that choreo. And you end up robbing your viewer of getting to know you. And I think setting free more of our creativity in our choruses and our quartets would be great to see. Would love to see it. And then again, unity, another part of the heart area of this category. Always working towards a unit. So now we get to the new favorite one, musicality. Okay. This is the artistic visual expression of the musical performance, which are great words and probably have you going, well, what does that mean? Because the first time I saw it, I was like, sorry, what does that mean? How do we do this? Okay. So musicality. Okay. If we think in terms of musicianship versus a musicalness, I want you to think, I'm sure you've seen performances of exceptional musicians. Like these are the folks who have trained. They know every note. They play a piano more exquisitely than I could ever hope to, or a cello, or they even sing exceptionally well. They are a musician, right? But I have seen performances from exceptional musicians that I have not been moved by. Yes, their skill work was incredible. I've never heard anybody play that way. It's incredible, but it didn't leave me breathless. Whereas if we move into that musicality, the musicalness, the performer embodies the song. Actually, Lionsgate has had a post up on their social media lately that I think absolutely encompasses this new element of musicality. It says, we don't just sing, we are the song. And when we think of those performances and we think of this new element of musicality, it's when the performer becomes the song. It's no longer XYZ chorus singing this song for us. It is an embodiment of the song that we get to be part of as the viewer. It's almost those performances where we find them in the hallway after their performance and go, oh, thank you. Oh my goodness, that was amazing. Oh, because we get to have an experience as well. That's musicality. I actually was going to steal that off of your Facebook page, those of you in Lionsgate, and put it in here, but I didn't ask permission from Stacy, so I thought I shouldn't. But I think I'll ask for permission now because it's perfect. So here are the elements that make up musicality. This is how we can kind of work to achieve musicality in our performances. A big part of it is not about what we're doing necessarily that day on the stage, but a big part of it comes before we even make it to the stage. And it's that connectedness that we have in our groups, either in our quartets or our choruses. That connectedness level in your group, that comes to contest with you. Okay, so if you got a sunshine and roses and lovey-dovey and that sort of thing kind of vibe to your chorus, that's going to come along with you. If you've got some tension, maybe some challenges, maybe you're facing some stuff, that's going to come to stage with you as well. So how we are connected to each other when we rehearse and when we perform. The next part of it is what connects us to our audience. Right? What are we bringing onto the stage that our audience members have a shared experience of? How are we communicating that to invoke their memories of that shared experience, or allowing them to have that shared experience with us as the performance goes? And then, of course, what makes the performance unforgettable is that ability to allow your audience into your performance and feel like they're part of it, right? When Lionsgate did The Grinch, I was up in my seat doing Dabe Doris right with them, man. I was like, I am so allowed into this performance right now because they were open and they gave the performance to the audience to allow us to laugh and play with them and experience all of the Grinchiness that was on, and they used something that every single person in that room understood. It was contest. And if there's anything us Sweet Adelines understand, it's contest. So that was that connection to the audience. We were already buying in. And then they took all of those things that they had brought to the table and made it absolutely unforgettable for all of us, right? They did the same thing with the Olympics package. To this day, when I hear the word decade, I will be in a grocery store and there'll be an ad overhead, like on the radio. And ooh, we've been here for decades. And you will hear me in the vegetable aisle going, decades. That is a performance that will impact me forever. I love it. It's wonderful. So this is going to be a little interactive portion here. I don't even know if I can see the chat. I'm trying to find out where it is. I don't think I can see it on my screen anywhere.
I can monitor it, Lisa.
Okay, well, yeah, but I wanted to be able to see what people were saying. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to unshare for just 1 second so that I can, oh, I found the chat. Okay, no, I found it. It's all good. So what I want you to do is I want you to think about an unforgettable performance. It doesn't have to be a barbershop or Sweet Adeline's performance, just something. When I say, tell me about an unforgettable performance that you saw, put it in the chat. It can be like, you can say, I don't know, Lady Gaga in Vegas or whatever it was, but think about a performance that you saw that it could have been on TV, doesn't matter where it was. Think about one of those and pop it in the chat for me so I can see what those look like for you. Oh, I can hear people typing. I love that. Makes my heart swell with joy, smiling ear to ear. Love it. Yep. What else? Class rings, climb every mountain. Oh my gosh. Absolutely. 100%. Yeah. Brava. And it was you. So, oh yes. When Lynn drops that line at the end of that, didn't we all just go, right? We all had that moment. Any others? While you're thinking about them, I'll tell you one of mine. Katie Lang. Yes, absolutely. Oh, Carolyn, what is this? Judy Garland. Carolyn, are you comfortable unmuting and telling us about this performance, this Judy Garland's other daughter? That sounds amazing.
Yeah, it was, I don't know, quite a few years ago, and I can't remember her other daughter's name, but she's the, the lesser known daughter, not Liza. And yeah, it was just a phenomenal experience watching this woman up there singing with her mom, who's been dead for how many years, with the symphony. It was just so moving.
So moving. That's awesome. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Jennifer, tell us about the Foo Fighters at Lollapalooza. Can't hear you yet. Oh, okay. That's your one moment. Oh, I can't hear you. I don't think your mic's working, Jennifer. Oh,
Can you hear me now?
I can.
Yeah. Sorry.
No.
So the drummer was introduced to come down from the lead singer. Lead singer went up to the drumming. It was, the energy of it was ridiculous. Now, of course, I like this kind of music, so it helps. But the energy of it, and they sang this Queen tune, but they had the whole stage involved in the one song, and then the whole audience went crazy with it, and it was just ridiculous how exciting it was to watch it, listen to it, sing along to it, do all of it. It was fabulous.
That sounds awesome. That sounds so awesome. Let's see, who else? Vivian, tell me about Gaga.
Does this mic work?
Yes, I can hear you, Viv.
Yes. Sorry, I'm at my parents'. There you go.
That's okay.
I didn't know if any of the tech worked. I was about 20 feet from the stage, just on the floor partying. And it was kind of my first big concert. And it was just, I didn't know that that kind of production was possible. It was just kind of amazing, and all the costuming and the dancers, and it was just a really big experience. Just, and my God, she's awesome. Like,
Yes, she
my
really is.
God, she's awesome.
She really is. Thanks for that, Viv. That's so cool. Okay, so I asked people to share this because there's a common denominator between the stories that we all shared. It was all different genres of music. It was all different kind of performers. It was all a vast, we went from Judy Garland to the Foo Fighters to Gaga, all over the place, right? But each one of the folks that talked about it talked about the experience of being part of that performance. Musicality is all about the experience of being part of a performance. I'm going to show you, I'm pretty sure I shared with sound, and we're going to know soon enough if I didn't. I've got a couple of examples of musicality as it's happening. I'm really hoping this is going to play.
We really
come on.
do love to sing and dance. Yet behind every performer, there's a real person forever yearning for acceptance. Looking back on our lives, I'm sure we can all find that point in time.
Oh, darn it. Okay, hang on. I'm going to press pause on it to see if I can get it to load up properly. I'll go to the next one. Okay, so before this starts playing, look at the staging that they've done in this performance. I think it's trying to play.
Nothing left to say. How could I miss by so much? Did I finally lose my touch? Or simply lose my way? Next time my love won't be too soon. Next time I fall, I'll fall beneath the kind.
All right. No, don't go to the next one yet. Hopefully it's not playing. Okay. Jump back. Tech challenges. Hold on. There, I'll get it on a still screen, then it'll stop trying to freak out. Was it choppy where you guys were too? Was it hard to see?
Yes.
Darn. Okay. Well, I'll try to load it again, but I'm going to keep going, but I'll try to get it loaded again for you guys. But that song in particular, sometimes we directors like to pick songs that are very intimate stories. And it's very hard for our chorus members to be that vulnerable on the stage. But this particular performance that I just had on, this was brilliant staging because it was a very personal and very intimate story that the song was about. And this director happened to stage it, or, well, yes, I think it was Becky who did it, but I'm not sure it was Becky, but she staged it in such a way that allowed each of the singers to make it a personal story. They didn't have to all tell the same story, but they did. And the result was this unified musicality that drew you in, because no matter which face you looked at, you were seeing that same story, right? I think I was actually, I know I was in, I was trial scoring at International for this performance. And I literally had to do, like, if this was my score sheet, I was doing this at the end of that performance because it was just covered in tears. I was such a disaster from that performance. I think, unfortunately, I'm going to have to kind of, well, I'm going to try and play this other one. This is going to be a great example of musicality in terms of creating and producing a party on stage that everybody gets to be part of. I hope it plays for you guys.
Jive into jive!
Let me try again.
Jive into jive!
And nothing gets me down. You got it tough. I've seen the toughest all around. And I know, baby, just how you feel. You gotta roll with the punches to get to what's real. Now can't you see me standing here? I got my back against the record machine. I ain't the worst that you've seen. Oh, can't you see what I mean? Oh, you might as well jump. Might as well jump. Go ahead and jump. Go ahead and jump. Come on and jump to both. Jump in, you gotta jump and feel my time.
Oh my goodness. Oh, there, I popped off that screen. I hope it was it as choppy on your end as it was on mine.
Yes.
Oh, shoot. All right. Well,
There was a question from someone if you would be able to post the links to those performances in the chat, then we can watch them after their presentation.
absolutely.
I posted
Absolutely.
Song of
will find
Atlantis,
it.
but that was the only one I had access to it.
Oh, thank you. Okay. Yeah. The other one, Scottsdale Finals, I think. And the first one was Rich Tones in the finals the last time we were at International. But did you, I know it was very choppy, but hopefully you could get a sense of how musicality allows the audience, the viewer, to be part of the performance. It's, you know, the vocal skills are so solid that the performer herself is able to give more, and leave the audience, you know, just begging for more of that performance. So the last element that comes into play is this audience connection. Okay, I just quoted this performance that there's a picture of. This is where decades came from. Okay, that's how much of a tattoo performance. So what we're striving for with audience connection is to create what I like to call a tattoo performance. That performance is going to be with me forever. I will always remember Lionsgate doing that package because it was that much of an experience for me personally, and I think for almost everybody in that room, if not everybody, that performance will be with us forever. We go beyond the plan. The audience connection becomes a result of all of those brain elements that we talked about, the vocal skills, the characterization, all those sort of things, and the heart skills, the musicality, the energy, the unity, all of those are working together all the time from beginning to end. And here we are at the summary. Look at us go. So reminders, okay? The new category name, we all know that because it's all visual communication now. The weightings are different now, right? Instead of 70-30, it's all 100 points available to each song that you perform, and it's going to be adjudicated in a much more holistic fashion, not performance and preparation, but everything. The new language that's in the JCDB, being sensitive to gender, cultural neutral, and it's uplifting, more educational and clear. The new elements that we talked about, audience connection, musicality, stagecraft, these ones are the keys, right? And the shift, hopefully, will be visible that there's a shift to that heart side of the elements, audience connection, musicality, those sort of areas are what we're really trying to encourage the performers to dive deeper into and bring more of to stage. Any questions? Yes, Sandy, do you actually have your hand up?
I do.
Oh, okay.
I was wondering if you, please, in your expert opinion, could address what we're all having to face in the next few weeks as we get ready for our regional videos in the whole area of audience connection, since it's, you know, we don't have an audience, we have a video camera. So how will that be? First of all, do you have any coaching tips for all of us, A? And B, how will that be addressed on our score sheets?
Yeah, that's going to be a tough one for folks, right? Because many of us won't have audiences when we're doing our videos. I mean, certainly there's the option of, you know, faking it, if, you know, trying to do your best to perform as though there was an audience there that you were connecting with. If your singers are more visual than that, then you could maybe make a fake audience, you know, put some folks out there, like, I don't know, print faces of people and put them out there. I know when I wrote the set of sheets last weekend, and there were several of the videos that they didn't have audience in the room with them, they still performed at a level that I looked at that element in terms of my connection. Did they connect with me? Right now, I'm their audience, and are they connecting with me? And if I was in the pit, would I feel that connection? If there was an audience, would they feel that connection? And kind of going from that. I don't want our competitors to be freaking out about that element. I think if you're doing all of the other elements in the category, to the best of your ability, there's going to be that connection, right? I'm pretty sure all of the VCOM judges are going to do their best to adopt the responsibility of being the audience that they're trying to connect with in that performance, because we're the only one in the room, right? I don't know if that helps.
Yeah, thank you.
Cool. Any other questions? Anybody? Margaret, I see your hand again. I see you this time because I can see everybody on my screen.
Hi, thanks. I just wanted to say something about the challenges that you judges face. You have 6 minutes to watch and listen. I'm not sure what limits you are given to do your paperwork between performances, if there is a time limit that you have, but you know, the challenge that you have of taking all that you've seen and heard and writing it down, it's really really amazing. And I'd like to say something about the training that you judges get and how impressive that you are to learn all you do and to be there to judge us. And thank you for going to that effort.
Thank you. That's so kind of you to say. I know that we are actually scheduled 11 minutes per contestant. in the pit. And last weekend, because we were video judging, we were granted an extra whole minute. I got 12 whole minutes per contestant to write a score sheet here at home. But yeah, you know, the training is exceptional. I was beyond excited when I was accepted into the program, and the training is amazing that we get from our judge specialists, our judge moderator, and then, you know, just regular old everyday judges who take time out of their day to spend time with us newbies as we're coming up through the program. So it's a long process to learn how to do it, but it's worth every step.
Lisa, can I just address another question that Margaret had around the timing? We actually just talked about this at a panel chair meeting a couple of days ago. Marcia was there too, where we actually are trying to simulate the in-person experience to the best of our ability. So we're not giving ourselves any extra time. We can't go back and rewatch a competitor. It's like we're in the pit and you're on the stage, even though it's on a video screen. So we watch the performance once and then we adjudicate. We have a time limit, just like in the real contest. So we're trying to just keep it as true to real life as possible. Marcia, do you want to add anything to that? Oh, you're still muted. Do you want to say anything, Marcia? She's trying.
She's trying.
Actually, the host should be able to unmute her, can't they?
Oh, I can ask her to unmute. It's not working. Give us an interpretive dance, Marcia, maybe.
That'd be great.
There you are.
She is.
Oh, there we go.
Oh, I think my mouse was dead. Okay. Where was I? What were we talking about? Oh, the panel
timing in the
chair.
pit.
Yes. And I wanted to say that the judges have asked a lot of the same questions, like, what should we do about no audience and all of that? And so we have talked about it, and we've had wonderful training from the judge specialists, and we've seen performances in different venues, and the judges are really well prepared to do it. And we just focused on listening to what the contestants are doing, giving the information, educating, rather than saying, oh, well, there's no lights or there's no choreo, you know, whatever it is. And in regards to the extra time, what was it? We have to, we don't get extra time, and we have to meet afterwards. But there was something else I wanted to say, and I couldn't get myself unmuted in time. Darn it.
I actually, for the contest that I did last weekend, I set my judging space up here the same way that I would if I was in the pit. So because I have multiple monitors on my home system, I put my one that I was going to be watching the contestants in higher than me, because if I was in the pit, I would be looking down and writing and then looking up to the stage and then looking down to write. So I actually had my monitor in there so that it felt like it would feel if we were in the pit. And we all use timers for ourselves to make sure that we stayed in time like we would if we were in the real thing and everything like that. Marcia, did you remember what you were going to say?
I did. We specifically talked about masks. So anybody who's worrying about that, there will be no comments, nothing said about masks. We will not be addressing them in any way. So they don't have to be the same or anything. You don't have to think about them at all. If people are wearing masks, we will just, as I say, concentrate on our comments and the education. So thank you.
Thanks. Shelley, do you have a question?
Well, just along the same line, because I guess one of the things that I'm struggling to get my head around with video submission versus those regions that are actually having live contests is, as a judge, how have you guys been educated to be able to handle the differences in the live performance scoring versus the video performance scoring? Because clearly a live performance is got that audience connection you talk about so much more because it's live. You're there in person, feeling those emotions and watching that performance. And so, how are you trained as a judge, and how can we feel as performers not to feel bad because our region is doing a video submission versus, some other region that is, lucky enough to get to perform in person? And how can we feel as performers to feel safe that we're going to be scored, commensurate with those that are being able to do it live?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. And certainly Sandy or Marcia, if you want to jump in, I'm welcome to that. I will say that part of what we do at every competition is leveling.
Right.
So before every contest, before the quartet contest, all of the panel gets together for a couple of hours and we do leveling, and we do that off of video. We do that for chorus and for quartet. So in theory, we have been judging via video for years because that's how we do the leveling. We've just added the element of actually writing a sheet this time and it being a real competition.
Yeah.
So in terms of how we've been trained, we also got fantastic judge training where they had prepared choruses that were masked, quartets that were masked, when they were unmasked, singing in live rooms, singing in dead rooms, singing in hallways with, 25-foot ceilings and all the walls were cement. And so that they could get us ready to kind of move through some of the things that may come into a video and get to the heart of what it is that we listen to and what we watch while we're adjudicating our categories. Sandy or Marcia, anything?
No, you covered it, Lisa.
Lisa, Carol Kwan has her hand up.
Oh, good. Okay. Yes, Carol. Hello, how are you?
I'm good. How are
So
you?
good to see you. Good, thank
Just
you.
a question about, and maybe it's in the information, but I didn't see anything about whether you actually have to do an entrance and exit. Because if you're doing a video,
No,
you could
on your
start from
video, you
static.
don't.
You don't. Oh, okay.
No.
Okay.
Certainly there'll be a break because you'll have in between the two songs. And I'm encouraging groups to treat the break on your video like you would if you had an audience in front of you. If you don't happen to have an audience for your video, use the break the same way you would if you did have an audience. Right. And I mean, if you've got somebody extra behind the camera doing the video on your behalf, like making sure that everything's working, I certainly encourage you to do a contestant number from Lethbridge, Alberta, Southern Accord chorus or something like that. And then you can do a greeting or an entrance, but it is not a requirement, right? Okay. Even when the videos would start and people, somebody would say the chorus's name and the director would just smile and the chorus would just smile. That's plenty.
Okay. And just a comment on pitch pipe technique, exactly what that means. I never know how to interpret that.
So that's, of course, a lot of the visual communication category is spotting distractions, right? Looking for those things that draw the eye. So it draws me out of the performance because something goes, what was that? Or, so when we talk about, what's the rule with choreography? If you miss a move, don't do it late, just leave it out, right? Because the whole chorus goes like this. And then Marge on the third row does this after, and everybody on the audience goes, what happened to Marge? Right. And so it pulls you out of that performance. So it's that distraction kind of looking for in this category. And on occasion, our pitch pipe blowers can create a distraction and pull us out of the performance. Right. So sometimes we have the pipe blowers that, have the electronic pipe and they're up on the third row and we're about to start the ballad. And we're trying to set a mood. The chorus has been instructed to set the mood for the pitch up. And they're all going, oh, to set the mood. And we got our pitch pipe blower up on the third row going with her arm up over the group. That would be a distraction that would be commented on. Or occasionally we have our quartet people who like to tuck their pitch pipe into their bra. I do not have a problem with them tucking the pipe in the bra if it doesn't create a distraction. When they've got to go back in there, rooting around, trying to find the pipe. I know it's in here somewhere. Oh, I've got a granola bar. Like, right? That creates a distraction in the performance that you don't want to have. So that's the kind of thing that we would address. Sam.
I would recommend, I mentioned this to the directors this morning in our Zoom, that everyone use the Scottsdale video as sort of a guideline, because they actually did it right. I mean, they don't do anything wrong, but they did it all right. They had no audience. They were wearing masks. They did it right. So use them as a guide if you have any questions about, should we look at the audience that we don't have? Should we acknowledge applause that we're not getting? How much time should we have between songs? I mean, that was a really good training video for all of us, I think. It was actually fortunate that they were so early in the contest cycle. And the other thing I told the directors this morning, and this is applicable to quartets as well, if you have someone holding your video camera, make sure they're not a heavy breather.
Oh boy.
Because
yeah.
in our training, the judge training videos that we were working with back in January, we had some submitted that had a heavy breather behind the camera. And you talk about losing audience connection, there it is. So make sure that, so that's just a little piece of advice.
Yes, tripods are very quiet. I agree. Tripods are very quiet. Excellent. Does anybody have any other questions that they'd like answered? Okay, while you're thinking about it, whether or not you have a question, I always do a going once, going twice, because by the time I say going the third time, somebody's hand's going to come up. I know it. I've met you people. Maybe you don't know, but I am a member of the international faculty. So part of teaching classes and being part of the international faculty is that I need to solicit feedback from the folks that I give classes to. So I am just actually popping into the chat a link. And that is a link to an evaluation form for the international faculty for me. So if, and honestly, I appreciate the feedback. I like to know how to make my classes better. I am hardwired into the interwebs, so I don't know why those videos were choppy. So I already know that I'm going to fix that moving forward. But any feedback you would like to share, please take a minute or two to pop onto that link for me, so that I can get that feedback off to the folks at the international faculty boss places. All right. Well, if there's no other questions, I want to thank you so much for coming today and learning about the best category. I would never. Well, I think it's the best category. It's certainly my favorite, but I think that means that I'm well suited to the category then if I like it the best. But if you think of any questions between now and whenever, and you're like, oh, I wish I could have asked that question, I am always available via Messenger on social media. Easy to find that way. I'm also popping my email address into the chat right now because I trust y'all with it, that I'm not going to get a bunch of spam. But you are welcome to email me any questions that you might have. And I'm going to go one further, if you can believe it. And I'm going to pop my cell number in there. That is for texting only. If you call me, I actually won't answer it. Ask my kids. If it's a phone call, I don't even answer it when it's them. But I will answer your text in a prompt manner. So please feel free to text if anything comes up. Thanks for spending some of your Sunday with me. I hope you're all having a wonderful day. And I cannot wait to see the video submissions for Region 26. It's going to be fantastic. Fantastic.
You're great, Lisa. Thanks for the great class. And can you stay on for just a minute before?
I absolutely can.
Thanks, Lisa.
Thanks, everyone. Have a great rest of your day.
Thanks, Lisa.
Mwah. You're welcome.
See you next Tuesday.
I heard
There
that.
it is. There it is.
There it is.
That's the end of a rehearsal at Lionsgate too.
Yeah, that's a G Gateway girl right there. Those nasty Gateway girls.
Lisa, do you know how to access this recording, or do you want someone on the RMT to set it up for you?
Oh, I think somebody's gonna have to set it up for me. I've never done that before, so I don't even know.
I can do it for you.
Oh, thank you.
At least I better just verify, but I can send out the link to it. It was a great class, truly. I do have a tip for you regarding how to share videos that don't get jerky. We learned this the hard way. If you actually can get a professional YouTube account, you can download the videos that you want to share, and when you stream them from your own hard drive, you don't get any of the lag.
Oh, okay.
So
I
that's
did.
one-
I pulled just the bits that I wanted. Like none of the clips were over a minute.
You
And
also
when I've
can
done it
share
with
it at a
smaller
lower
groups-
quality, which also makes a difference. So if you go to the settings and lower the quality, even though the video won't be quite as crisp and clear,
Yeah.
you'll have less lag time. It's another pro tip I got from Stacy.
Yeah, I should do that. Cause like when I've done this class with smaller groups, it hasn't had that issue because I am hardwired, right? Like I've got a LAN cord into my dock. So it's not like I'm functioning off a Wi-Fi either, which usually seems to work. But today, for whatever reason, it was Choppy McChopperson. So yeah, I will, I'll just use my work, I'll use my work YouTube account and download what I need, and go from there.
Great class, Lisa. Thanks a lot. It was really good.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I appreciate
Awesome.
that.
Okay.
I was a little nervous when you guys were in the room. I was like,
I'll send you an email. I'll do an evaluation, faculty
Oh.
to faculty. Yeah.
thank you. I appreciate
Okay.
that.
All right.
Thanks.
Bye-bye.
Yeah. Okay. So like as soon as I saw Marcy in the room, I'm like, shit, my pants.
She's a great supporter.
I know she is.
She
I know.
messaged me this morning saying she was going to come. So
Oh, well, that's good. I mean, well, truth be told, like they're not going to leave me on the faculty if I can't teach a class in front of one of them, right? I can't just.
hey, so while it's just, oh, you know what? Let's stop recording.
Oh, oh no. Yeah, let's cut that out at the end, please.
I don't know how to do that.